Well, we all know that Joe Biden's political career is basically coming to an end. We know that he's no longer running for the 2024 presidential election for a second term because he's basically incapacitated. He's messed up. We saw what happened when he was in that debate with Donald Trump. He can barely talk. He was messing up words, mixing things up. You see him in interviews. He looks like he has some form of dementia, but he's been messed up for some time now. We've seen him walk up the steps and fall, and they've been trying their best to cover up a lot of things that's going on with this guy Joe Biden. I've never been a big fan of Joe Biden's, but we saw just how horrible he looks when he talks. But his career is over because they put him on TV and he went on there and he talked like this.
President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
That's right. Joe Biden was looking very weak, and the whole world was watching. They understood. World leaders around the world is looking at President Biden, and they're saying that America's leader is weak. He's not able to do the job. It got so bad that former President Obama had to speak out. And we know that Obama is very powerful within the Democratic Party. And he's been watching behind the scenes. And if he could run for office a third term, he would probably be one of the guys that can run for office and give Donald Trump a run for his money. But he went and spoke and he said, bad debates nights happen. Trust me, I know. But this election is still a choice between someone who has fought for ordinary folks his entire life and someone who only cares about himself. Between someone who tells the truth, who knows right from wrong, and will give it to the American people straight, and someone who lies through his teeth for his own benefit. Last night didn't change that, and it's why so much is at stake in November. So that was your guy, Barack Obama, commenting on it, but to a lot of Democrats behind the scenes that didn't go over well. Democrats are scrambling. They're running scared. They don't know what to do. They've been trying to find a replacement for Joe Biden because, like I said, this was an embarrassment. And to me, it was kind of like behind the scenes, they understood, they could see Joe Biden because they're around him all the time. They hear him talk. I believe that they put him up there so the American people can see, so they can try to get him out. They can get him to force him to step down because they probably been trying to get him to step down, but he wouldn't step down. But it's got so bad that you have people talking like this.
Democratic sources, this is happening all of a sudden. Everyone said it would happen gradually and then all at once, and that's what's happening. According to my sources, President Biden has agreed to step down as the Democratic nominee.
Oh, man.
It will happen as early as this weekend. A speech has been drafted for him. He will continue on as president, is his intention. He also will not, I'm told, endorse Vice President Harris as his successor. They're hoping that he will endorse an open process in which the convention will be open to Vice President Harris and a few other candidates in Chicago to pick the Democratic nominee for president. The belief is that Vice President Harris is already looking at potential running mates to go to Chicago with a full ticket, including one possibility, Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, and perhaps the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro. Other possible candidates who are being talked about include Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, perhaps Gretchen Whitmer, and again, the vice president running. On the first ballot, the regular delegates would be allowed to vote under this agreement that's being talked about amongst the president and high-level Democratic officials. The regular delegates would vote on the first ballot. If there is no winner on the first ballot, the so-called super delegates would be allowed to vote on the subsequent ballot. This decision was reached, I'm told, all of a sudden because of the high-level pressure from Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and others, and as well as the decision of many of President Biden's top aides that there was no path forward for him, that he would not be able to win this election, win the general election.
So at first it started off as rumors, but then it started to pick up steam where a lot of Democrats was coming on different news stations and saying they had doubt in the Democratic Party, and they was asking him publicly to step down. They were showing that the Democratic Party was leaking oil and the ship was sinking. So they had to they was scrambling. They was trying to find candidates that can come in and run and take his place, but they wanted him to step down as president. They were saying, to the point where Barack Obama, like I said, had to step in and started to speak because, as I told you, he has a lot of power within the Democratic Party. And they was begging Barack, you got to get out in front of this, and American people have to see you so that they don't lose faith in the Democratic Party and the process, because a lot of people don't like Kamala Harris. You know, she's not it for the people. A lot of black women don't like her. They don't see her as black. A lot of black men don't like her. A lot of people just don't like Kamala Harris's attitude, period. But it really got worse because we're watching the president, Joe Biden, go on TV and talk like this.
And one thing does change. It's not an excuse, an explanation. I would ordinarily be going through black neighborhoods on the foot, working through the neighborhoods. I have a tradition. I close every campaign, no matter what campaign, going into the projects and going down the east side. And, hey, Joe, well, how you doing? You know, everybody, well, just because they're my friends, let them know I'm still there. We can't do that now. Not because of the black community, because it's too dangerous for me to be out walking on a company.
And then we ultimately found out that Joe Biden would no longer be running for president. Behind the scenes, they got him to finally step down. He was ordered to step down. And this is what they said.
President Biden has just announced that he is ending his re-election bid. Just moments ago, the president tweeted out, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision." There are still so many questions yet to be decided and so little time before those questions need to be figured out. So I want to go right away to our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl. John, we are just 100 days out from the November election. Pressure was building on the president to step aside. Now he is announcing that he has.
Rachel, it's an extraordinary moment in American history. This is the first time we have seen a sitting president bow out of re-election since Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1968.
And then Joe Biden turned around and nominated Kamala Harris. And a lot of people felt as though he may not have nominated her. Because like I said, she's not well liked. And we know that there's a lot of friction within the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris went on to Twitter and said this, or X, "On behalf of the American people, I thank Joe Biden for his extraordinary leadership as a president of the United States and for his decades of service to our country. I am honored to have the president's endorsement, and my intentions is to earn and win the nomination." And like I told you, she's fighting to win the nomination, but I don't know if she's going to get it because, like I said, she's not well liked. But they have Barack Obama out in front to try to make the American public feel better, to make the Democratic Party feel more at ease. But again, he can't run. But he went on to say Joe Biden has been one of America's most consequential presidents, as well as a dear friend and partner to me. Today, we've also been reminded again that that he's a patriot of the highest order. And that's your former president talking. And then he gave a full statement when he said, "We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. I believe that Joe Biden's visions of a generous, prosperous, and united America that provides opportunity for everyone will be on full display at the Democratic Convention in August. And I expect that every single one of us are prepared to carry that message, and I hope and progress forward into November and beyond. For now, Michelle and I just want to express our love and gratitude to Joe and Jill for leading us so ably and courageously during these perilous times, and for their commitment to the ideals of freedom, equality in this country, and this country was founded." And again, it's funny because the Democratic Party is always leading with these perilous times, and we gotta vote now, vote or die. We gotta save democracy, and they always fear mongering, trying to get black folks in the Democratic Party to vote in order to save democracy. Trump is trying to take away our freedoms, and the the Republicans is racist and all these different things, and they scare you, use scare tactics to get you to vote, man. And when you look at Joe Biden and his record, he doesn't have a stellar record with the black community, man, for years. And I've been telling you guys this. I'm not a fan of Trump, but I'm not a fan of Joe Biden either. So we got to look at it from the two different perspectives as so-called black Americans. Like, who's going to meet the demands that we actually have, or do we actually have demands? Because when you talk about demands, we all remember what Kamala Harris said when she went on national TV. She went on 60 Minutes. Remember, she said this.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people.
Now, Kamala Harris had the audacity, while trying to get your vote at the same time, said, I'm not going to come on and do nothing specifically for black Americans. No. She didn't have no problem saying that, but when they got in office, they did something specifically for the Asian community, specifically for the LGBT community. They didn't do things specifically for us, things that they know that happened to us. I mean, we talking about Joe Biden. He wrote the 82, 86, 88, 94, all these different crime bills were for well-known white supremacist Strom Thurmond, who was out of South Carolina. He even did his eulogy. He was looked at as this drug czar and was tough on crime, and he was responsible for millions of black men going to jail through his policies. We also got to look at his black female Supreme Court justice and what is her views on certain things as opposed to biological women. Like, we got to look at these things. We got to look at his immigration stance and what's happened in Chicago and New York City and these different stands. So what has been beneficial to the black community with Joe Biden as president, right? So you may get mad at Trump because he may say some racial things, but Joe Biden's policies, Trump's Trump, when it comes to hurting the black community. The black people, we need to get more proactive in understanding laws and understanding policies. Now, I'm not in agreement with Donald Trump's policies and his judges that he's trying to send to the Supreme Court and judges that he's getting on the federal benches. I'm not, because he wants to allocate more power back to the state and take it away from the feds, where our argument and our reparations plight is with the federal government, where state has never enacted or enforced state laws that were supposed to protect us. So I'm not a big fan of Trump when it comes to that either. But we have to understand what we're up against as a people and what is our agenda as a people. You can't just vote for somebody because you don't like Trump. What is the agenda that the Democratic Party has for the so-called FBA black Americans? That's the question that you have to ask. But if you made it this far in the video, I'm going to cut it short here. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to Street Media TV. And remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.